Hey, welcome back to Code 4 Cooking. I'm Jeff, and today we're going to be talking about toast. Seems like a simple thing to have, but in reality, some people still don't do it quite right. My name is Jeff Antoneco. I was a paramedic for over 26 years. I did my bit for King and Country, but it took its toll, physically, emotionally, and mentally. One thing that could always bring me peace and calm, and that's cooking. Ask my partners. We ate well. Now I want to share that place with you. For my first responder and military family, I want to share my knowledge and experience of cooking, start to finish, with me, and hope you can find your peace and calm while cooking. And to anyone else just starting or in need of a person to cook with, from gathering and prepping our ingredients to cooking, and finally plating and tasting, let's help you find that peace and calm as well in cooking. So come on, cook with me. Now, each toaster is going to be a little bit different. I don't want to talk so much about brand or machine, but I want to talk about how to actually use the toaster and what the different functions are all for on the toaster. So if you look, these match these on both sides, slide bars as well. Now, shouldn't have shown you this yet, but I'm going to. A toaster that is not plugged in or the breaker's tripped, those levers will not stay down, which means that the cooking elements will not turn on. Once it's plugged in, they do, and the heating elements are now on. To cancel it, we have our cancel button. We have a bagel button. Now the bagel button, what it does is you put the face of the bagel towards the center, and then only the center element will turn on. The outside ones will not. Here and here will not turn on. Only the ones on the inside here. So, then we have reheat and defrost. And I gotta tell you, I have never used reheat for anything. And defrost, what that does is it kind of cycles through the elements to slowly defrost your bread, and then you can toast it. Reality is that you can throw your bread in frozen, and it might just take an extra few seconds to cook. That would be all. So, now that we know how our toaster operates, we're going to talk about different kinds of bread. So this is a sourdough bread, and you can look at that, you can see it's got a really nice crust to it. It's fairly dense, little lower, lighter on the water content compared to a cottage bread. This is just straight out of the grocery store. It's not as dense as the cottage bread, although it does have that appearance, but it also has a higher water content. And then you've got a bagel. Okay, so each one of these, you can tell they're obviously different recipes. They're each going to cook at different time frames. So, with the slide bar, one of the things you need to be aware of, this is not turning the temperature up or down. This is the length of time that you will be toasting. So 1 is the least amount of time, 7 is the most time. And the reason that's important is because you're not turning the temperature up. It means that when you put different things in here, they all cook at different rates. The elements themselves only come on at one temperature. So, in my household, a bagel, discovered the best setting for the bagel is at a number 2.5. And so it's going to cook for that time frame. So we're going to go ahead, you can see that this is untoasted. We're going to drop that in there. I'm going to turn it on. We're going to hit bagel. And that's it. Now, keep your fingers out of the toaster. If you need to push something down with the levers, reset it and try it again. But don't put your fingers in once it's started cooking. Now, why do we toast our bread? Well, it enhances our flavor. We're cooking it, and it's changing the texture on it. So it goes from something that's, light and floppy to something that's crispy and adds that much more flavor to it. Now again, in my house, on this toaster, 4.5 is pretty good for regular toast. Okay, so now that they're down, we've just got to wait the time out, and you'll see that the bagel side will pop up sooner than the bread side. And you want to make sure that you have a nice brown crust that's been toasted on there. Nobody likes something that's anemic. That's anemic, that means like bland white. So if you only cook the bread long enough to get it a little dried out, that's kind of all you've done. You really haven't toasted it. You haven't gotten any color to it. And it really doesn't carry on the flavors that you're going to be looking for in a nice piece of bread. Breakfast toast, obviously, bacon and eggs kind of thing. Sop it up with the toast, jams and jellies. But sandwiches too. Think about you go out and you have all the different club sandwiches, BLTs. All of that bread is toasted for a reason. It takes that and keeps that layer of like the tomato that's nice and moist, allows it to sit kind of on top of the bread. You put the mayo on there, and it just keeps that crunchiness all the way through your sandwich. And that's what you're looking for. And those are the flavors that you really want to have. And each time you do this, you'll find yourself at a different point in what you like for your flavors. So when these things cook through, and we get where we want to know where we have to be with them, then we are going to be much happier. It's going to be a whole lot easier. If you have toast come up and it's not dark enough for yourself, remember, we're not adjusting on these levers a temperature. We're adjusting time. Okay, so if it comes up not as toasted as you want, you can put it back down, but reduce the time so that you're only getting it as it's ready to come up. Then you're going to have you won't have to worry about burning it. I mean, we all know, remember, getting burnt toast as kids and mom and dad scraping off the burnt crust there and handing it to you saying, go for it. So bagels popped up. Most toasters have this too on this. It's a really nifty thing. You lift it up and it lifts it further out of the toaster so it's easier to grab. Now, look at that. That is well browned, well toasted, hot, and ready to be buttered and used. Now the sourdough, when we put this in, now the bagel was cooked on 2.5. Toast is at 4.5. I'm going to go all the way up here to 6. 6.5. And the bread is about ready to come up. And it was about 30-40 seconds longer from the time I put the bagel into the white bread goes in. But remember, there's all sorts of different kinds of bread out there. Your wheat, whole wheat, rye. And because of how the doughs are made, you're going to have those different things, different water contents, different densities. We're going to lift this up. There we go. Now, that right there is what toast is supposed to look like. If I go out to a restaurant, this is what I want to see for my toast. It's not overly dark. It's got good firm texture to it. That would be perfect and ready to go on a sandwich. If you are going to be cooking and making sandwiches, the nice thing is that you don't have to necessarily run fast with toast to put your ingredients on there. You can take your time, make sure you have everything you want to go on your sandwich, and then just start layering it in. So this sitting out, when it's hot, fresh out of the toaster, that's the best time to butter it because it soaks up all that lovely butter. It's still crispy as far as the bread goes, but the butter melts so much smoother and it spreads right across that bread. And fat is flavor. So let's face it, we all want to have a little bit of butter on our toast. And if it's not that, then we're going to look for cream cheese. It's a vessel for just about anything you want. And they're handy. Cut them up, make petite sandwiches out of them, impress your friends. It's not difficult to do, but it does take the time to learn your equipment. Feel comfortable with what it is that you're working on. The sourdough is still cooking. It's probably going to be cooking for quite a bit longer. Obviously, like I said, because of the way the dough is made and then sliced and everything else. So we're going to wait for that to come up. We're going to look at talking about a little different way of toasting things. You can use an oven to toast. You can put it on broil, slide your toast in the oven and on a tray or right on the rack, and that'll toast it. And then, of course, burgers and buns. Who doesn't like having a little butter on their bun? Put on the stove on a flat top and get that butter caramelized. Cook it down like you're making a grilled cheese. Add that depth of flavor to that burger or the hot dog or brat, anything. That's another way of toasting as well. So lots of different ways to do it. We used to go camping. We do it over the fire. It always seemed weird to me when I was a kid, but we'd grab our sticks, weave the bread through on the end of a forked stick, put it out over the fire, find that right distance for the heat, and toast the bread. Voila! So it doesn't matter whether you're in the kitchen or out of the kitchen, you can always find a way that you're going to be able to get nice toasted bread. It's going to enhance your flavors. Here we go. There. Now, look at that. That weight was worth it. Right there. So you can see them all. Have that nice browning to them. Ooh, it's getting toasty. But you can hear that crunch. That's lovely. That's truly lovely. Okay, this has been How to Make Toast. My name is Jeff. Code 4 cooking is about feeling comfortable and safe in the kitchen. Know your equipment. Feel comfortable using it. Okay? That's it for Code 4 cooking. I'm Jeff, and we'll see you next time. Hey, if you like what you saw here, please hit the like and subscribe button as always. That way we continue to bring new content and get you more videos out there that you can enjoy. Thanks very much. Keep cooking. We'll see you back here at Code 4 Cooking.